Good afternoon. Welcome to this session on EOSC Portal, New Value for Researchers. I'm John Shepherdson. I'm co-leader of Work Package 5, and this is a presentation about the work that Work Package 5 has been doing since the start of the project, and a quick look at some of the work we'll be doing towards the end of the project. So we've got an all-star lineup for you this afternoon. We've got the task leaders and other movers and shakers in Work Package 5 who are going to present the work that they've been responsible for. We're looking at 5 different areas: user requirements and value proposition. Anka's going to talk to you about that. New features of the user interface, Roxana. Examples of interoperable components, Raimundas. EOSC Explore, Julia. And perspectives on further contributions to the value of EOSC, Geordie, who's presenting elsewhere at the moment, but is jetting in later in time for his part. So with no further ado, Anka, I shall hand over.
Don't worry, I'm not the speaker. There we go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My legs are hurting after yesterday, and my voice is excellent. Yeah, so I'm Anka Hienola. I'm coming from Finnish Meteorological Institute. I'm a Task 5.1 lead, and today we will just dive into user requirements and value proposition. Lock the doors, is gonna be long. Especially with this voice, it's like, yay.
Shall I take a before and after of the audience?
So, the most famous fairy tale at all times starts with "in the beginning." The front office was a relatively simple system that allowed user to discover and access resources, to find information and updates on European Open Science Cloud, to browse open science information, and also receive simple recommendations for other resources that they may be of interest to them. So there are 3 components here. We have the I can't see here very well. The EOSC Portal, the catalogue and marketplace, and the recommender system. However, the design was very much provider-centric. While for the main category of users, that is the researchers, in our opinion, the portal has proven to be basically impractical and actually meaningless. Yay! So, we had and we still have a very, very long road in front of us, because we want to go from this illogical and unintuitive portal towards a very happy user. So, in the first phase of the front office requirement analysis, we concocted several enhancements, including resource composition, access to more type of resources like data and publications and other research outputs. We had also an interaction with the front office using a personalized dashboard, access and contribution to EOSC knowledge, access to open science statistics. We want the users to obtain also support and also to receive personalized recommendations. So in order to cover all these areas of interest, we divided the work in 5 themes. You can see them here in these very colorful ribbons. So the first one is data inclusion. We want to make the data universally accessible and allow the users to easily search and find research data. The second one is enhanced discovery, which we hope provides a more intuitive way for users to search and browse the available resources. The next one is a knowledge hub, which includes a training catalog and a learning platform. And then we have the user dashboard, which is a user-centric space which includes elements relevant or potentially relevant to the user activity in the front office. And then we have finally the recommender system, which provides recommendations concerning resources, be those data, services, training, projects, whatever, that could be of interest to the user, and it is based on multifocal perspective. So I will take them one by one, and I will tell you what we have done with them. So first one, data inclusion. The mission for this one was to enable researchers using simple keyword search or a series of filters to find and discover research data of interest that is hosted in hundreds of repositories across Europe and reuse them in their research projects. So we had two focus group sessions, one in April and one in June 2022. In both of them, we asked the same thing. So we wanted, first of all, to know what are the researchers' habits for data discovery. What do they use to find data? Then we asked them to find a specific data set in the portal. We wanted to know about the criteria of finding data, what kind of filters they used, and the vocabulary that is presented in the portal. These are the results. So as you can see, in April, with the portal in its original useless state, as you can see, the results were as expected. It's red everywhere, nobody was happy. Overall experience was better, and the first thing is that actually they didn't find the EOSC portal. We told them, find EOSC portal, and they ended up in EOSC Association or some other funny websites. However, in June, it's nothing to laugh about. In June, however, we switched and we use EOSC Explore, which is based on OpenAir Explorer, and the results improved really drastically. So you can see, we see green everywhere. There will always be one guy who doesn't like something, so we will always have some red there. But anyway, this shows that we are on the right path, because they actually succeeded to find data, to know exactly where to go, how to search, filters were more or less fine, etc. So, for each theme, we created this value proposition canvas, starting from what the researchers want and need and their pain points, going to what the service should provide in order to meet the needs and to alleviate the pains. I'm not going through every single one of them, it's too much, but just several things. First of all, they were missing the starting point. In the original portal, you could not find a place where you press the button and say, here is the data, I will go there and I will search for data. So no place dedicated in the portal for finding this data, and actually this was the highest ranking need for the researchers. They want, of course, data to be easily discoverable. They want links between data and publications and software. They need proper filtering. They want really advanced search capabilities like Boolean search. And most important, they need actually one place to search through the hundreds of repositories in Europe. And I think that more or less we succeeded to do this. The next one, enhanced discovery. So the human discovery process essentially consists in two things, querying and filtering. So we had one focus group in April 22, And we asked people just to look at the portal and to tell us how easy it was for them to find and access and use resources. We wanted them to tell us how the content is presented, if the categorizations are good, if the terminology is okay, and of course overall satisfaction. The results are red, as you can see. So the general conclusion of this group was the original portal, catalog, and marketplace in that useless state. It was almost unusable to the average researcher because of improper or kind of ambiguous categorization of services, lack of proper explanations in plain language, and because, you know, the technical jargon is kind of incomprehensible to an ordinary researcher, because of lack of proper filters and many others. In the same session, we proposed a new method for organizing the services. And I have to say the feedback was very good. So maybe you remember this was the original category in the former portal, and we proposed this. This category, it was kind of logical for the researchers because this is something that they do on daily or weekly or monthly basis. It follows practically what every step of the research journey. And if you want to know, these categories are actually already in place in the new portal. This is a long one with the value proposition canvas because it's taken like one by one. But it's something that we got from them, so I think it's important to go through this. First of all, we have to notify the unauthorized users that you know, if the user is not logged in, the system doesn't have any kind of information about that person, and the recommendations that they will get will look pretty much random. So we need to notify the unlogged users that they should log in and create a profile so that they receive better recommendations. The next one, why a recommendation was made. People were asking that, why this appears in front of me? And we have to explain that, you know, based on your search or based on your field of science or other users who use this resource, used another resource, etc., etc. Optimize no results page. Well, when researchers are looking for something very specific, actually, they might get a no result message, and this can be due either to the unavailability of relevant resources in the marketplace, or due to meta tags that lack actually essential attributes and descriptions. And in such cases, at least similar or partial matches should be recommended. Support for user-curated content. We want to allow experienced users to optionally display their public profiles and to say there, look, I used this, this, and this, and maybe this kind of human-curated list of services and resource recipes can help other users which are not that experienced to accomplish similar research goals. Use an AI auto-tagging, that's kind of clear, I guess. And then we have, this is my favorite part, I have to say. Avoid technical jargon. First time when I opened the EOSC portal, I saw aggregators and integrators. I'm a researcher, I still have no idea what those are. So practically, we have to explain the technical terms, or, you know, we just have to erase them and to put others, which are for human beings, not IT people. are human-ish. Okay, so they wanted also, and they were actually very happy with the new categorization that we showed, and basically they were more inclined to use that than the old one. So say no to aggregators and integrators. It's it makes sense. I think that we are at least trying to do everything that they would like to have there. Okay, let's go then to the Knowledge Hub. Again, the training, I have to say that we focused basically on the training catalog in this case, and not the learning platform, so I will talk about training catalog only. So it holds a collection of training resources related to EOSC, and it has a database, it has an advanced search interface, and a landing page for each training resource. So we have 2 focus group sessions. The first one, which was in March 2022, it was basically exploratory. We just wanted to know what are the training needs of the researchers. We wanted to know how they search for training material in general, and again, what would be the best functions that they see that should appear in a training catalog. And based on the findings of this first session, a beta version of the training catalog was created, and in September a new focus group was held. And we asked them to test this beta version, and also to tell us what is good, what is not that good, and if they have any further recommendations for us. In the value proposition canvas for this, it was kind of clear that they want to find easily the materials. They want to browse in a very easy way. They don't want to click too many times, and they really don't want results which are not relevant to them. So in the features, we included this static page with links and a very good search for in the training catalog, access to e-learning portal, proper filters, help desk, etc. User dashboard. As I said, it is a user-centric space which includes elements relevant to the researcher activities in the front office. And I always see this user dashboard as their home in the portal, where they can have their own resources, links to their own resources. They can have their own projects, and also they can receive personalized recommendations. We had only one focus group for this, which was in the form of a survey. We collected information about the user profile, what would be the important features of the user dashboard, and we also had a couple of mock-ups designs that we proposed, and you see here the winning mock-up, which I think it changed in the meantime, yes. So we don't listen to the researchers. We enhanced it, yes. So imagine that a researcher is in the portal, and they don't have a user dashboard. And maybe the recommender system is recommending something really cool. And there is no way for them to save it or to add it to the favorites. Maybe they don't need it now, but in a month they might need it. And they will not remember what was that, and they will never, or very hard, get back to it. So we want them to be able to save these kind of links in their personal dashboard. Of course, if you have a personal dashboard, there is a lot of information about you, about them, so they can receive personalized recommendations. And also, as I said, they have to make it their home. It means that they can control the dashboard. They can customize it. It's not like going in a hotel room where you cannot do anything there, and maybe you are bothered by the lamp in the corner. So it has to be their home where they can do whatever they want. So they will have their links to what is important, recommendations for services, trainings, whatever, of their choice. So maybe they don't want recommendations for training, but they want for data. So there is an on-off button that will allow this. There is also this space called projects, where they can gather all the participants in the project, and they can also put all the common resources there, whatever services. So everybody can go there in the project, obviously, and use those specific resources. Of course, news from EOSC, very good thing to have. Maybe the top trending this week resource. And one thing that I think it would be very good for them, as far as I know, the researchers, because they kind of like money, funding opportunities. It's not there yet, but I hope that one day we will be able to do that. Recommender system, this is the last one. So it's intended to improve the user experience by guiding and supporting the researchers by suggesting other resources they might like to use. We had one focus group for this in March, and then in May 6 interviews. This was like one-to-one. So in the first one, we wanted them to identify concepts that are relevant to the recommender system, like, for example, attributes of the recommendations or ways of presenting recommendations, expected functions, metrics, etc. Then we wanted them to name the topics, and you can see there in the blue-yellow notes. The researchers in the focus group, they categorized every necessity that they had. Of course, after that, we asked them to sort these concepts within each topic to reflect their relative importance. Then in the interviews, we went a little bit more deep. And we asked them, like, when a recommendation is considered good, what are the qualities of a relevant or important recommendation? Should it be an alignment of recommendations with the search, the presentation, etc.? So there are like really detailed questions. So in the value proposition canvas, again, there is an overlap here with the dashboard somehow. They want to control the recommendations. They want actually the recommendations to be made by category. So recommendations in data, recommendations in publications, recommendation in whatever service. They want to save or to add to favorites the recommended interesting recommendations. And they also, again, want to know why this is a recommendation. With this recommendation, it's a kind of a delicate subject, because there are people who hate recommendations from the bottom of their hearts, and others who really like them, and everything in between. So they have to be able to control this. So an on-off button, it's absolutely needed for this kind of people. And another thing that it's a bit delicate is the feedback, because people generally don't like to give any sort of feedback. It's like waste of time they like to see feedback from others, but they don't like to give the feedback. So to me, this is it. And if you will check now the portal, you will see that the categories have changed. There is a very good search. It's far, far from being ideal. But I think I let you read and then I talk. I think it's a big step forward, because before we were in complete dark. And now it's not complete light, but it is somehow the light at the end of the tunnel. We will have a long road until we will get to the, Bahamas, fully light, palms, ocean, etc. But it can be done. I think it can be done. Thank you very much. I take questions now or later. I don't know how it goes. Later or no? How? Okay.
All right. Hello. Please do.
Still not the speaker.
You might take it over if you want.
I can pretend, but I don't think I'm as pretty as you.
All right. So it is mine. Yes. So hello, I'm Roxana. I hope that you saw some of my presentations here, because I realized that I didn't do a proper introduction of the next steps that we are planning in terms of development. But I did present what's about to come in other sessions. However, what I wanted to start with is something slightly different, because it's the last session. I will let myself and as Anka to be a little more direct and less official. And I wanted to underline what Anka has said. It might seem, I don't know if you got that impression, but it might seem a little obvious, our findings, or even silly that we are looking into it, because EOSC is about setting up this platform that is giving the new technologies the possibility to do what is impossible right now. And this is all true. And this is what we are doing or trying to do in the scope of Work Package 5, enabling the technologies for the sake of researchers to make the researchers and others who are making research more efficient and more effective. But, and it's my professional, personal experience, when starting from being a researcher for a short time, then moving into being a person involved in the development of a software. In the course of European projects or research projects, it was never enough time or money to think about user experience. At the beginning, there was not even such term being used, user experience of the software, of the tool. And then in that project, I think it's the first project in the course I was involved in, that in fact start thinking about it, and it's so good. Believe me, because as Anka was saying, we might have a feature, have a new capability, a new thing to enable the users, the researchers with, but if we don't serve it in the right way, they will not find it. And that's more or less what the user experience is about. So exposing the new functionalities in a way that make those functionalities in the most proper way to utilize them. And I remember meeting Anka for the first time on Zoom. We were also very involved, so by we I mean people who are involved in the development in Work Package 5, but we are also involved in the, let's say, UX part of things, coming up with the solutions, designing the things, how they should look like. And we thought we knew things, right? We know what answers to, what questions to ask, and we know more or less what we are doing good or wrong with our tools. And there is coming Anka and say, like, this is bullshit. Like, what are you doing right here? I cannot do anything about it, like, change everything. And at the beginning, it was, like, scary, because she was right. I cannot say anything else, she was right. And the refreshing thing also was the involvement of people there, who was not scared to say that what we have done previously was not valuable enough, even though we claimed it in the review, obviously. But we had the courage and possibility to gather people who cared and who were able to devote their time, and I want to underline this. Work done in the UX part in Work Package 5 is amazing, in my opinion, if it comes to projects like that. And we are hoping, and I think that the most important thing, that we really care for the input. We don't care about if it's good or bad. We really need the input because we want to make things better. And hopefully what I will present you based on Anka's introduction will hopefully show you that we are going into the right direction. Not only Anka, that it's not only the thing that Anka said it, so we believe her, but in fact it's happening. So, coming back, at the beginning of the work package 5, we wanted to understand what is a bigger picture to be delivered in the end for the sake of the front office. We gathered many point of views, many requirements from previous projects, from new participants, from new networking points we managed to gather on the way. And then we came with the conclusion that, I hate this kind of presenting, sorry. That was the answer, the 5 themes that Anka have mentioned. But again, once we started with the themes, before we went to the consulting phase, so the focus groups, we conducted something called introductory analysis or something like that. I came up with the name, but sorry? Yeah, internal blah, blah, blah. We made the initial analysis, which was consisting of compare and contrast of solutions already available, for example, or understanding what our internal partners think and know about the subject. The data was not available at the time, so it was obvious. Everybody was saying we want data, and everybody was saying at the time we need data in EOSC. It was also apparent that the discovery was not very good. We knew that we are supposed to deliver knowledge hub, user dashboard, and recommender system on top of most of the components to give more personalized view on what's available. And then, yes, this on the left, this is what was available at the beginning. So, sorry, on the left, this is the first approach. So at the first, we try to understand what kind of users we have in EOSC. And the user's typology was dependent on the user journey. So what these people, depending who you are or what are your goals, what actions you might want to foresee in the system. And we started with what we knew the best, with the people we had at hand, so the researchers, or citizen scientists, so people who do the science on an everyday basis. And as Anka said and showed you, the current categorization, even if it had some meaning from the technical side and for the providers, it didn't really have meanings for the users, for the researchers, so we tried to come up with the terminology more understandable to them. And in the end, we ended up with the new search system, which is not only about the enhanced discovery, but also about joining the 2 catalogs, so the services and the research products. And again, coming back to UX, the main functionality for this new service or this new feature was to join the catalogs, connect data and services together. But there are many ways to do that. And if you want to do it properly for the end users, usually you end up with more work to do, but this is fine because in that way your service or something you are delivering will be probably more used and people will be more happy, and we want our people to be happy. And sorry, but this is the last session and I don't necessarily always say something that makes sense. And as a part of the search service, I should read what was appearing. So the personalized recommendations appeared, the recognition of the research data workflow and the researchers' actions, so the new categorization about discovering data, processing the data, using computing and storage resources, publishing the data for sure as well, finding the research infrastructure, so producing the data as maybe as the first step, and data management. So these are the actions that we recognized at a certain point in time when we were planning this functionality, and we are still working on that. And we'll be waiting for inputs from others, for example, here, people gathered here. And also last but not least, the presentation of the element itself also mattered, and we checked what information are meaningful from the researcher's perspective, because once the provider is submitting the metadata about the service or the research object, there is many information included. And we wanted to understand which information is the most important from the consumer perspective, so the right decision can be made from the, maybe not from the first glance, but when going through the records in the list. Yeah. And on top of that, and it's yet to come, we will be adapting also the new look and feel. It's something that we are proud of. Maybe it won't make that much more difference, but in addition to what is delivered already in the new search capability, there will be a new look and feel to it. One next item, as the result of the themes presented before, is a training catalog. The training catalog that consists of elements that are perceived as training materials, have their own metadata for the sake of discovery, and their own way of presentation, so it can be used in the most efficient way. The one thing that is missing for sure still is the link between the training material and the service or research product that it's connected to. We are planning it, it's not there yet, but it is about to come. And the user dashboard. Sorry, something wrong with the presentation. Anyway, the user dashboard, it's the last element I wanted to briefly present to you. So as Anka said, it's the home of the EOSC user, consumer, but it's also the marketplace, and the catalog part was about expose and all the changes that will come. So exposing more the offers rather than services. So being one step closer to executability or composability. This is what we call the marketplace part. So making use of resources offered through EOSC. But there was also one thing missing, and it was a result of many interviews during the last years. The social part. And we are not claiming that we want to build the new Facebook for researchers, but what we want to do is enable the exchange on information. Because many times when we are asking for the use cases, different communities were telling us that we don't need the services really, because we have computing, we have our own tools, we have our own workflows. In terms of technology, we have stuff. But what we don't have is the possibility to type in our question and be able to find a relevant answer to it. So either we can use, and there are several ways obviously to deliver, to fill in that gap. You can give a person a list of use cases to go through, but you can also think about kind of a forum. Which way we will go, we don't know yet, but we are pretty sure that the dashboard element will be the place in the platform that will be playing a huge part when it comes to the social part of EOSC. And coming back, because this is maybe not funny, but funny for me in a way, when talking about user experience. When you are doing the user experience, you really need to think or don't remember about the target group that you are doing the user experience with. And what Anka has said about the recommendations, that very often people either don't want to see them, or if they want to know how and why they are seeing them. And this is something very specific for the researcher or our crowd here, because we are the people who want to know things. And we want to know why and how, and this does matter when designing or trying to expose the functionalities in a proper manner. So yeah, what's about to come in the user dashboard, and it's any day now, is, as Anka has said, the recommendations meant for a precise area of the catalog, so for the software, services, publications, horizontal services, news, because we will be including news as well, use cases, which are called stories here, data, trainings, and data sets. A slight mistake here, but it's a beta phase. The profile part, we want to extend it with the integration with ORCID as a first step. We want to combine information on the researchers so we can match or link the publications and data sets connected in the spirit of open science. The marketplace part will be exposed here at the moment. We will work on expanding that capability in the future as the next step of this part of Portal's view. Connection to the catalog, so the search ability, and different areas of the dashboard. So this is not something that will be available right away. At the beginning, we will have the feed part and the projects part and the trainings part probably and services. But the rest will be built upon once we understand what is needed mostly among the researchers and considering what resources we have to deliver. So the elements that were not shown there is, for example, the news, the videos that are available, very important for us here, contact us form, so we can gather ideas and feedback about what is being done in the platform, and social media. And once again, this is the reuse of elements already out there, but we have so many faces of EOSC. We have the EOSC Association part with their events and news. We have the EOSC Portal part with the news and events. And we thought that it would be nice to have one place for the user that presents the information that are more user-specific, so based on the information given by the user and with support of the recommender at hand, the user can be discovering things that are relevant to them from one place. And if the user doesn't want the information or data shown be user-specific, then the recommendation part can be ticked off. Iterative approach, scalability, users' needs and interests. And I believe it's all from me, because the last thing is the benefits we believe we are bringing on the table with the newest iteration of development and those who are very soon yet to come. So guidance through the compatibility is the next step. Help desk to support learning open science practices is the next step as well. And the dashboard, but this one is like a very, very close one. And that's all from me. Thank you.
If I may, yeah. Hello. Yep. It's the same presentation, but it does not. Come on. That's the clicker. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I'm Raimundas for PSNC. We're working on in the portal. We're working on the recommendation system, and so we didn't start entirely from scratch. I will talk about very briefly. I will talk about the possibilities to interoperate and collaborate on the recommendation system that we tried to build in our work. So I don't think you will see it here, but essentially the situation we were facing was that we were three teams of the developers working on the various aspects of the recommendations and the different recommendations. With Cifronet, Athena, and ourselves. So we thought, how do we get this implementation done so that the partners, we can focus on each part, each partner can focus on their part and have the framework to work together. So we came up with a modular structure that would allow us to to create the modules and to evolve further the engine for the recommendations and the AI support to the portal. So essentially, you don't see the colors here, but the different colors indicate that the different partner was responsible for working on these components. So essentially, you could integrate at 3 levels. Now we'll talk about 3 levels of the integration. You could integrate additional sources of data, of user actions, user profiles, and also of what is available. You could integrate on the recommender level. You could work on sort of your recommender, like for example, a recommender for the provider side, because this is the user-facing side. But the same data could be used to recommend what users like for the providers. What other services like? What sets of data? What sets of publications are most popular within the users? And you could integrate also on the client side. That is to have additional place to display the recommendations. If you have your own part of EOSC or regional portal, the same engine could be used to display the results there. So, integrating the new source. So the new source is integrated in a preprocessor. So it comes like integrating of the marketplace, the search service. So that's the way. First of all, there are 2 steps of integration. The initial database dump, so that if you have a current data, that we process that and process that in one go, and incremental changes via the data bus. So you can send your incremental changes to the data bus, and that will be the preprocessor and the databases essentially, which are used for the recommendations, will be updated on an incremental basis. However, I mean, all this is not really fully automatic. So if some of you think about various ways to use the recommendation, you will need to contact us. You will need to contact the development team, because it requires some hand-holding and some working together to integrate at this level, because this is not something that is distinctively separate from the portal. It is internal subsystem of the portal, so the integration with that will require some work on both sides. But it is possible, and the architecture allows it. So that most important, that the further growth is possible and is foreseen at the design stage. So that is the most important, the most interesting perhaps integration. So that's integration of new recommendation system. If you want to make your own recommendations based on the data, based on the current data and on the future data that is being processed, the easiest way to integrate is to get to the databases, to read directly from the databases. It's also not that these formats of the databases these are also in development. So it requires some collaboration. It requires, as I said, it requires hand-holding, but it is possible. So you could read from the databases and also deliver recommendations through the facade, so that any of the sources that are, any of the clients that are integrated through the facade with the recommendation system could have your type of recommendations. Or you could integrate your own additional client via the facade. So that's if you want to create recommender for the providers, if you want to create recommender for the regional EOSC project, you could still use the same. You could still use the same databases. You could still use the same preprocessor engine, but you can create your own recommender system. So that's not recommender system, but your own recommender engine. And these results can be displayed through your own interface to your own client, or through the standard facade to the clients that are registered with the current system. So that's what I'm coming to. So integration of the new client. Easiest integration of the new client is via the facade component. So facade component has 3 points, 3 endpoints. So that's project completion, related services, and recommendations. So if you want to, for example, EOS Exchange would like to see the recommendations for the providers, they could be integrated through any of the three points, or we could talk about the creation of the specific endpoint in the facade to integrate the specific needs for the so to speak client of the recommender system. So that's 3 ways to integrate the data source, additional data source. Like for example, if there will be catalog of software repositories onboarded. That is a new data source, and that could be integrated with so that without any additional work on the portal, you could see the recommendations from that data source appear based on the user profile appear in the EOSC portal. So that, and if you want to integrate. If you want to create your own recommender engine, you could still use the data that has been pre-processed and that has been integrated from the different sources already, and make your own recommendations. And if you want to display the recommendations in your specific client, you have the endpoints for integration with that. So that it took us some time to develop this architecture, but we thought that, well, few weeks of planning can cost you a saved months of coding. So we decided that to rather spend those few weeks in planning and designing this architecture and defining these interfaces and endpoints in order to allow growth. So it's not really affixed right now. It has been released, it is working, but the situation is still quite fluid. It's still in development, and the data formats and API interfaces, they are changing. But it is already possible to work together, and it is already possible to achieve growth in the future. So that's my main point. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I hope to be brief, and I hope you can see me even if I'm not there. But if you have problem also to listen to me, at least you can see this big screen. Okay, so I am Giulia Malaguarnera. I am originally a researcher, and I am the Outreach and Engagement Officer for OpenAir. So please don't ask too many technical questions. There was Paolo everywhere. So I hope you had enough of his voice. Oops, oh, what I did. Do you see why I'm not a technical person? Okay, let me see. Okay, did it. Okay. So as Anka mentioned before, there is now EOSC Explore, which is based on OpenAir Explore. So basically, what are we showing? I am a part of the data inclusion team. It means that what I would like the people here to know is that now you can find data on EOSC Portal. What kind of data you can find? Basically, the one that are already onboarded in EOSC, and they can be onboarded directly as the EOSC catalog, or those that are indirectly present via harvesting from OpenAir or this OAI PMH that I'm sorry, I am not a technical person, so please apologies. So after onboarding the data, what happens is that you can find catalogs in EOSC and in the marketplace that are part of these EOSC profiles. The EOSC profiles can be provider profiles, resources profiles, catalog profiles, and what is interesting for what I'm presenting now is the research product profiles. And as research product, we mean publication, articles, data sets, softwares, and the data sources profiles. So what happens in EOSC Explore and what is EOSC Explore? Basically is a web gateway that offers search and navigation functionalities over the OpenAir Research Graph, which is a knowledge graph with interlinks to EOSC resources and services. It links the data with a project, with the data sets, with articles, organization, and also research profile, for instance, the ORCID. And it leverages on the OpenAir Research Graph. So this is how EOSC Explore is looking like. Maybe Raimundos, how did you wow, amazing, I didn't find it before. Okay, so you can search here in this search engine, and whenever you are typing here any kind of keywords or content that you would like to find, you can also type which kind of contents you want. You will see the main feature of the EOSC Explore. So there are simple search or advanced search. The advanced search is in this button, and the simple one is here. Then there are filters that are customizable. You can see by sorting a number, results, and so on by here, basically. By relevance, by year of, by date, and so on. And the interesting part is that all the results that you would like to have can be downloadable. Other feature of the EOSC Explore are the filters. Again, you can search the research products, the projects, the services, the organization, and so on. And also you can include or exclude or do a more advanced research with the publication, research data, research software, and other research products. There are several filters that are access, year range, document type, also now field of science, the type of founders that can be linked to a data set, an article, and so on. The country, for instance, from which repository is coming the data from, the languages, the source, even the kind of community. And it's now on the beta version, also the possibility to browse in the Sustainable Development Goals, but at the moment it's just in beta version. Then this is how it appears after you are clicking to any kind of content. So you can see this this page. Here, this is a logo for the Sustainable Development Goals. Then you can tailor for each entity, which you can also tailor you can also see this overview or find the relationship. For instance, here you will find out if how many updates there are about the same contents. And sorry if nothing is very clear in this kind of setting, but also you will see the contextual information about the same product. You can also have access to statistics and metrics. For instance, how many downloads there are about the same product. And also you can take actions. For instance, you can embed the link that is related on the project in your website or in your social media or in a blog, or find a way to cite them. So as Anka showed you before, what changed? A lot. Of course, when we did the interview in that period, the EOSC Explore was in a beta version. This is why they didn't have to search where it was. So maybe this is going to be a next step. What we did, it was funny. We made an interview like a treasure hunt to our users to see a little bit more what was their way to navigate to the data. So what we have asked was to find specific publication data sets and software. We also asked to look of data of their interest. And then we asked them to play a little bit more. And these are the results, but our focus group was a small focus group. So this 20% actually is the reality. It was just one person that was very, very, very bothered. So what happened was that by searching a specific data sets, all of them were able to find it. And this was, I think, the biggest success. The overall experience, again, you can have mixed feeling because it depends on what kind of data you are searching from, what kind of data sources are already onboarded in the research graph or in general in EOSC, that maybe you can't find everything that you really want at the moment. The usability increased a lot. The terminology is still a pain, I think, for all EOSC. I think that this kind of terminology is reflecting more or less the discussion that we had during these previous days. The satisfaction of data finding was higher. I didn't expect this number, to be honest with you. I was very happy. And the reuse of service was that basically we asked to the user if they would like to go back. And the fact that the 40% was happy against the 60, it's still a good result because we are competing with Google. So it's not something easy. We are competing with the search engine that are already embedded in the research life cycle of the researchers. So again, the fact that we have the 40% is still very good because they didn't just search for data sets, but they search also for publication and data. So something that they are more used to search. And then we asked to the user what they would like to see in general in a search engine. And here I marked what we have in EOSC, what is in the process of development, and what probably we are going to work in the next period. So What they wanted was a backlink to link the data with publication and other resources. And thanks to EOSC Explore and the technology behind the research graph, this is possible with the EOSC Explore. They would like a no-biased search versus, they would like rating also the search results by the users. And this is something that actually we didn't think about before. So it's still in the mind of our developers. And maybe with the recommender system team, we will try to find something in the future. Keywords, search based on tag-based or domain-specific filters. All the filters that I showed you before basically are also included in the discussion that we had with the users. Semantic search. So just before this, we had another session today in which we have a group of FAIR for EOSC that is looking for the semantic search. It's a very complex technology that it's also in the mind of the developers, but at the moment it's not possible. So what you can find in the EOSC Explorer is an ontology search, not a semantic search yet. But this is going to be in a long-term plan. Then the filter mechanism, we have several filters. So we need just to test if this is enough. But apparently the users were happy with the search. Worldwide coverage of sources. I put this like in process because it's basically depending on who is onboarding on EOSC. So this is not really something that we can do on the backstage. The license visibility, it's present, but again, it's depending on the metadata that are provided in the research knowledge graph. Same as the geographical filters, depends on the metadata. The Boolean combination is basically the possibility that we give in the advanced search bottom to say, okay, I want to look for all the cheese, but not the blue cheese. So they would do like the type of search. I will search for cheese, and then not, they can select not, blue cheese. Or they can include, exclude, or search also for cheese and grapes. That's it. Thank you. Or wine. Wine. Okay. So basically, this is what you can do now in EOSC Explore. And then you can filter for type of data, size, and format. This is possible. Again, depends on the metadata. So what was possible to do? We did it, at least for the initial steps. Of course, it's not perfect, because it depends on community efforts of writing good metadata and work better for the development of EOSC. But I think that during these days, we now know a lot that this is something that we are all caring about. So, thank you.
Yes, and one thing, sorry, Georgie, for interrupting, but before we go to Georgie's part, because we didn't explain one most important thing, that it's probably the most confusing with the new developments. We have combined several infrastructures with this release. We have combined OpenAIR's data gateway, we have combined marketplaces service gateway, and now it's one creature. And what hasn't been fixed yet is the understanding what is what, because the OpenAIR's Explorer, or now EOSC Explorer, has its own search, the marketplace has its own search, there is the new joint catalog which has its own search. So again, from practical possibilities, you are able to find and even match data with services, but from the user experience, and it's I think one of the best proofs that we need to think about user experience, it's still very messy. And people are asking what is the main gateway, what is being what. So again, on the top we have the search service, which gathers both open air, I shouldn't say open air anymore, sorry, data and services. And there is one, what Julia has said, in EOSC, what you will find in the joint search are the research products connected or being part of the data sources onboarded in EOSC. And this is very important. So Notion, data source, this big service that offers many types of research products. Some of them, 26 or 27, are now officially onboarded in EOSC, and only research product connected or harvested from these data sources will be visible through the EOSC new joint search capability. If you enter the EOSC platform from EOSC Explore, the situation will be somehow different, and that's confusing, because in EOSC Explore, apart from the EOSC research products, there are also all other research products that are gathered or harvested on the platform. It's confusing for the user, definitely. Even we don't know yet what is the difference, to be honest. What from practical perspective that the research product is being an EOSC one mean in comparison to the rest in EOSC Explorer? We don't know yet. Maybe we will find out, sorry for that. But please remember that if you will be confused with the number of elements found in EOSC Explorer versus number of elements found in EOSC Search Service, this is the reason. We are working on it. We will get there. And Marketplace now is only for the sake of finding services, but it comes only to search bar. The Marketplace has its own functionalities about order management and combining and creating of research projects. Explore right now is mostly about the graph part, which is very important. We will find a way to interlink and move these functionalities so they are common for every part of the platform. We are just not there yet, but the capabilities itself are there. We just need to make them more user-friendly. So, sorry, Jordan.
Thank you, Roxana. That was very good, and it's evident we haven't finished EOS Future. The EOS will continue after EOS Future, so there is plenty of work to do, and it will get better all the time. We are unstoppable. So I'm Jordi. I'm from the ESREF. It's a research infrastructure in Grenoble, in France. We are in the photon and neutron world. We're a particle accelerator, generate photons in the X-ray spectrum. Scientists take pictures with that. Very cool, very interesting. But my role in EOS Future is I'm working in the task 5.3, and it's all about delivering the Knowledge Hub. So I will talk about what it is, the Knowledge Hub, and what is coming up there. So I'm conscious that is the very last session of the very last days. I will try to go quickly because I think that everybody's a bit tired. Okay, so basically, what is the Knowledge Hub? And I put there the standard definition that I found in the proposal, and the idea is that we have a place where people can go to learn, to train, to get information, to make the most of the EOSC. And we want this to be available to all the users, but also all the providers, so everybody can contribute there. So we have more training, we have more learning possibilities, more content. Therefore, we'll have more users, and this will create kind of a virtuous circle. So this is what we want to have. And this is a small part of EOS Future, it's a small part of the European Open Science Cloud, but I think that it is very important. We need to ensure that the users know what is there, why it adds value, how it is important, the fact that there is lots of content that can help them in their research, in their professional career. There are services there. So it is very important because we are working a lot in many different services. We are leaking data, but in order to create the value from all these opportunities, people need to know that are there and how to use them. So it's a small part of the EOSC, but I think that is a very important part. And of course, we need to do a bit, this training platform, this knowledge hub, and we are building it, but we also rely on other parts of the EOS future and the wider community. And I think that dissemination is very important, because it's not only good to have a tool, people need to know that the tool is there. So we are doing our part, and we are working all together to make the EOSC experience better. So the Knowledge Hub, it has basically 3 different parts. There is a learning platform that is Open Plato, and in another room there is the guys at Work Package 9 that are showing it. And it contains learning content about open science, the EOSC, etc. Then we're having a training catalog that I have the URL there as well, and as Roxana said, is up there. She shows some screenshots, it's available. And the idea is that in the training catalog we'll have training content about any scientific domain or the EOSC or facility specific. We can potentially, people can onboard things. We'll maybe eventually be able to harvest content. So the idea is that this is the place where to find training. And of course, people might have some ad hoc questions on it, some support. So we want to build around it some sort of help desk or support area to ensure that any extra thing that we haven't thought about can be raised and can be answered. And here I just display where we are. So as I said earlier, this is work in progress. We haven't finished EOS Future, so we are working on it. And the Knowledge Hub, what we want to do is have a landing page that links the different components. So the landing page is at a design stage. We are engaging with Work Package 9 to see exactly how it needs to look, how it needs to feel, what needs to be written there, so then it can be developed. The developers can just go crazy and do it, and that will not be a problem, but at the end of the day, the training experts are in Work Package 9, we need to listen to them, and then we'll go to users, we'll do focus groups, we'll do whatever is needed, and it will evolve. But we'll have a landing page linking the three components. And the learning platform that is Open Plato is available, it's online, it's inherited from a different project managed by OpenAir, and the content there will grow over time. And for the training catalog is the same. We have limited content, and we're awaiting changes in another work package of EOS Future, Work Package 4, so more content can be onboarded. But the idea is to have plenty of content there, and of course we need to ensure that the metadata vocabularies are correct, are well defined, are respected, so people can use this information to find the right training content. Because then we will have the search, the filters, and the recommendation working well. And the help desk is a small part, but it is important that that works. And we can do something very, very simple, just some ticketed system or some emails, etc. Or we can do something more complex. But the important thing is that it's useful for the final users and it's sustainable. Okay. And with that, I think that I'm finishing in this slide. So as I said, very, very short. The key is really the content from my point of view, but we don't need to forget the usability, and Roxana talked earlier about the user experience, the UX, and I'm very happy of the fact that we not only aim to deliver state-of-the-art user experience, but we are getting there. And that's very important, because we need to have good content, but people need to be able to get to it. So it needs to be very easy to use the website. It needs to be intuitive, and anybody, doesn't matter how computer literate is the person, can go there and can find easily and quickly what they want. And for that is why Raimundas was talking about the recommender system, and we want to do it very, very easy and very helpful. So that's it. Thank you very much. And now I hand it to John.
Can I invite the speakers to join me on the platform? I'm sure there'll be lots of questions, and it'll be a lot easier just to pass the microphone along. So just before we get to the questions, and before the stampede, because I know it's been a long week and a long day, I'll thank the speakers very much for their contributions. And just to say that, I mean, you've heard from my expert colleagues of the recent developments in the EOSC Portal, in the user-facing components, the changes that have been made to some of the existing ones, the new components that have been created, the underlying recommender service, the user dashboard, also how we've gone about getting the requirements, refining the requirements through extensive consultations with the users and the value proposition canvases in order to rank those requirements and make sure we develop the ones that give the most value. So that's what we've been doing, and in terms of what's coming up soon, there will be some extensions to the functionality of the recommender system. There'll be some more work on the new categories. We need to subcategorize some of them to improve the granularity, and we want to integrate these new front office components with the EOSC monitoring system to make sure that they're reliable and available, and much more besides, which we'll tell you about at the next symposium, I guess. So, are there any questions, please, for the speakers? We need to... Oh, there you go, second microphone.
Thank you. I'm Mari Klemla from Tampere University and CESTA. And I think the presentation has clarified some confusion, but I'm still confused, but I'm not going to ask about that, maybe. But my question is more about because this builds on metadata and information you harvest from others, and those might harvest it from somebody else. So basically, how do you see that? Because you are dependent on the quality of that information, that data, metadata. So how do you see that, and where's the responsibility? And also, if you enrich the metadata anyway, are those things then do they flow back to the original creator? And I'm speaking because I come from a data archive, and we use a lot of resources to creating, maintaining, updating our metadata, legacy metadata, and it would be nice to get funding for that also, instead of building new features.
Well, I think I'd start by saying that we are consumers of metadata, and we get what we get. We're not the harvesters or the generators of it. That's through the onboarding process, which is through the provider portal. So when we have problems with the quality of the metadata, we need to speak to our colleagues in the onboarding team. I'm sure you're aware there are a number of the profiles, metadata profiles, have been developed, and they're used as part of the tooling in order to automate or semi-automate or make less difficult manual onboarding of metadata. But it's not really the responsibility of Work Package 5 to specify or cleanse or deal with the providers in terms of metadata quality. Yeah, does anybody add anything on that?
Yeah. Very good question. Pain in our working environment, the curation of data. So John has started on the services. We have also the other leg about research products, which are in fact harvested and sustained by the providers on the end of their own repositories or other tools supporting the archivization of data or research products. So I would say it's around that we are focusing on the user, and we are trying from the very beginning on the researcher, and we are trying from the very beginning to deliver a tool that allows the best user experience, discovery being one of them. And the very first problem, believe me, the very first problem we have encountered, it was even with the services where we can say that we had the providers in our hands, where we could talk to them and tell them, the better you populate the metadata schema of your service, the most findable it will be. The better for the users, the better for you. And with research products, it's even more complicated story, as you definitely know. The guy over here is dealing with millions of records of a metadata on different kinds of research products that in the end we were supposed to combine and present in a unified manner, in a unified discovery process. And this would be a not that hard experiment if the data was there and meaningful. Because not everyone has vocabularies, even if the metadata schema is the same. Not everyone uses the same vocabularies, even if they have vocabulary. And I understand what you are saying, that even in the scope of a single but bigger provider, you being a bigger community, you have a problem with the curation. And then we are multiplying this environment and landscape by adding others to the picture. So I truly believe, or truly am in line, and I support the idea of having but there is as much money as there is, right? And everybody has their needs. But I would be in favor that we need more money for two things. The curation of data, because the data is now that we depend on, and the operations about anything we are trying to deliver here. Because what Jordi has also said about the help desk as a technology is nothing. Like, there are help desks everywhere, but good help desk is about operation, about knowing how to run it, about knowing how to structure it. And this is what we are now missing in EOSC. We have the technology up to a point, but no, we need to close, they tell me.
Can I answer, please? Okay, sorry, I will answer because it's about data. Sorry for that. In OpenAIR, what we have done was when we built the guideline, we also give us services, which is called the Provide Dashboard, in which you can enter the data source also directly in the research graph. And through this kind of services provide, you can also see how your data can be validated, so how the type of sources are going. We are developing a fair data tool that will give you information about the fairness of the data that you are ingesting in this research graph. And also, if you want to subscribe, you can also have the enrichment system and see how the data can be enriched based on the different data source that we are harvesting. And I think this was the question, if I was understanding.
Thank you very much, and I'm told that we have to stop here. So thank you very much for your attention, and if you've got any more questions, just please approach us individually outside this session. But I've had so many wind-up sessions from the signals from the back now that I think we have to stop.
Yeah, the session is in Meridian. Please go to Meridian room that they are concluding remarks.